Welcome back to Network Evolution. In this series, I take a look at individual battle chips that have had multiple appearances in the Battle.Net games and see if and how the chip was changed over time. As a requirement, each chip that I go over must have had more than one appearance in the series, whether or not the chip is changed at all between its different iterations. Today, we're finally going to be taking a look at an elec type chip, and I figured, why not make this video about one of the most iconic elec type chips in the series, Thunderball. This is a chip that I've mentioned in multiple folder decoder videos revolving around elec type damage, and is going to be an interesting video because, for the first time, I need to get footage of Battle.Net 1. Why did I decide to do this? The Thunder chip debuted in the very first Battle.Net game, a game that I do admittedly enjoy playing, although I also try to avoid it most of the time. Wait, I plan on doing an all trophies run of the Legacy Collection soon. Anyways, enjoy some rare Proto Plays Battle.Net 1 footage while you still can. The Thunder chip was a reward dropped by the iconic Billy virus, whose attack was very similar to the chip. When used, Thunder releases a small lightning ball, which travels slowly across the field, tracking the nearest enemy. Since it's obtained from a virus drop, Thunder comes in 3 levels. Thunder 1 comes in the A, E, G, H, and S codes and deals 90 damage. Thunder 2 comes in B, C, F, I, and L codes and deals 120 damage, and Thunder 3 comes in the D, F, G, K, and N codes, dealing 150 damage. These are pretty respectable damage numbers, especially since Aqua enemies get hit for double damage by these chips. Hey everyone, I just wanted to clarify, I realized after I recorded my script already that the Thunder chip doesn't actually track opponents in Battle.Net 1, it just moves forward slowly up to 3 panels ahead, and then after it's traveled 3 panels, it disappears. It's not following enemies around the field like it will be doing in the later games in the series, so I just wanted to make that quick clarification. However, the most notable thing about the Thunder chips isn't their damage value, rather it's the secondary effect that comes with the damage that really matters. And this is where things may take an unexpected turn if you've played the later games in the series but skipped Battle.Net 1, which if that's the case, can't say I blame you. But in this game, the Thunder chip causes an enemy to become electrified or numb according to the Rockman EXT zone. Basically, while an enemy is numb, they will flinch and take damage every time they move onto another panel. One more quick clarification guys, it turns out that navies in Battle.Net 1 cannot be affected by status, and so the Thunder chip does not actually cause numbness in enemy navies in this game. I don't remember if it does on viruses or not, it maybe does. But I just wanted to clarify that real quick. The numb effect in Battle.Net 1 from Thunder chip seems to be more of a PvP thing rather than something that's going to be beneficial in casual play, so just keep that in mind as well. One last thing to mention about Thunder in Battle.Net 1 is actually something that's not specific to this chip, but rather an unfortunate aspect of Battle.Net 1 itself. There are no star code chips in this game. This means that generally you'll only throw Thunder into folders for the codes it directly comes in. And this is honestly one of the biggest reasons why I avoid Battle.Net 1. Yes, I know that OSS includes star code chips, and I'm sure I'll play that game someday. But today is not that day. Anyways, moving on to a good Battle.Net game now, please respond to the rage bait in the comments below. The Billy virus and its Thunder chip took a hiatus after their debut, skipping past Battle.Net 2 and 3 and returning in Battle.Net 4. Once again, since it was paired with the virus that drops it, the Thunder chip comes in 3 levels in Battle.Net 4. This time, Thunder 1 came into B, L, P, and star codes and only dealt 40 damage. Thunder 2 came into H, P, and S codes, dealing 60 damage, and Thunder 3 came into I, T, and W codes, dealing 80 damage. Now let's start by talking about those damage values. Technically, Thunder did in fact get a nerf in this game, with its damage values dropping by a significant amount. Each of the Thunder chips in this game did either half or slightly less than half the damage that they did back in Battle.Net 1. However, this nerf only exists if we look at only the damage number on the chip. The thing about elec chips is that there's a way to automatically double their damage in Battle Arc 4, and no, I'm not talking about full synchro. A while back, I made a video explaining why ice panels in Battle Arcs 2 through 4 don't make any sense scientifically, as ice doesn't conduct electricity, so there's no reason for elec type attacks to deal more damage on ice panels. But they do, which means that we can increase the damage of our thunder chips by setting up ice panels on the field, which didn't exist back in Battle Arc 1. The only way to set up ice panels in BN4 is to use the Blizzard chip, which conveniently comes in the star code, though it also shares the H code with Thunder 2. Once you've set up your ice panels, the Thunder chip in Battle Arc 4 will deal nearly the same amount of damage as it did back in BN1. However, the damage of the chip isn't what's important. The real important change to Thunder in Battle Arc 4 was its secondary effect. The numb status that it caused in BN1 only existed in that game, and so Thunder needed to be given a new effect, which ended up being a massive buff in my opinion. Now, the Thunder chip would paralyze any enemies that got hit by it. This paralysis is extremely good, as it can allow you to follow up with other chips while your opponents can't move. And as it turns out, Capcom really decided to go all in with the paralysis effect in this game. After all, BN4 was the game that introduced us to Double Souls, with Thunder Soul being chosen as the elec type soul for this game. Sadly, Thunder Soul doesn't increase the damage of elec chips at all, but rather causes all non-dimming elec and null element chips to paralyze opponents that get hit by them. Ironically though, the Thunder chip isn't always that great to use with Thunder Soul. The thing about using the Thunder chip with Thunder Soul is that their paralysis effects don't last for the same number of frames. Thunder Soul's paralysis actually lasts long enough for you to charge its Zap Ring attack after hitting an opponent with a chip, whereas Thunder 1 at least does not paralyze enemies long enough for you to do so. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using the chip and soul together however, since they do still synergize well with each other. And there's also the fact that the Thunder chips come in some great codes in Battle Arc 4. Obviously the star code for Thunder 1 is incredible, but the S and T codes for Thunders 2 and 3 respectively are also very strong. So overall, Thunder is actually a great chip that can see some good usage in Battle Arc 4. The Thunder chip once again returned in BN5, but this time the Billy virus didn't join it. This is a weird decision in my opinion, as Billy's causing paralysis would have been a great way to waste the player's valuable time in liberation missions, since battles in those have a hard 3-turn limit. Naturally, with the removal of the virus that drops it, Thunder became a single level chip, dealing 40 damage and coming in the B, L, P, and star codes, the exact same damage and codes as Thunder 1 in BN4. But at least this time you can just buy the star code chip in Higsby's bargain bin starting in chapter 6 of the game. Once again, Thunder causes paralysis when it hits an enemy, so you may rightfully think that this chip is the exact same as BN4's Thunder 1. However, there were of course indirect changes made to this chip, starting with the newer elec type transformation, Magnet Soul. Unlike Thunder Soul, which didn't have any mechanic to increase the damage of elec chips, Magnet Soul allows you to double the damage of non-dimming elec chips by charging them, giving you an easy way of increasing the damage of Thunder to 80. And as an added benefit, this chip once again synergizes well with Magnet Soul, which can cause paralysis with its Mag Bolt charge attack. In addition to increasing the damage of Thunder using Magnet Soul, you can also increase its damage with a panel type, though this time around ice panels have no effect on elec attacks. Rather, all elec type attacks will deal double damage against enemies standing on a C panel in this game. And just like in the previous game, there are ways to create C panels in BN5, with the best one being the C-Seed Star chip. I've talked about this chip a lot before, and I pretty much include it and Thunderstar in every Magnet Soul folder that I use. That being said, you can also use the Aqua World chip for this purpose, as it does leave behind a C panel whenever it hits an enemy, but C-Seed is just better for this purpose overall. Lastly, just like in my previous Network Evolution video about Wide Shot, Thunder also gets a dark chip variant, Dark Thunder. This chip fires off a much larger purple Thunderball, which does the exact same thing as the Thunder chip, but deals 200 damage. As a bound chip for a Dark Soul run, Dark Thunder is really good, especially when your Dark Soul decides it loves using this chip. Shout out to Midnight WV4 for that footage. However, it's also incredible as a Chaos Unison charge attack, as firing off multiple 200 damage paralysis balls is a great strategy. Someone should try something like this in PvP matches. Last but not least, Thunder once again returns in BN6 as a single level chip, dealing 40 damage as usual, but coming in the B, R, S, and star codes this time around. Sadly, you'll also only get one copy of the chip in star code easily in a blue mystery data, with other copies of Thunder Star only being dropped by the Skytown 10 chip trader. And of course, the Thunder chip works the same way as it has in the two previous games, traveling over the field slowly and paralyzing whatever enemy it hits. The biggest change to Thunder in this game, naturally being an indirect one, was the removal of C panels, and as such, the removal of damage amplifying interactions between elec chips and panel types. But that doesn't mean that Thunder is stuck at its measly 40 damage forever. You just need to use Bubble Star chips to trap enemies inside bubbles first, since enemies trapped in bubbles take double damage from elec attacks. Yes, I know that there's way better chips to be following up a Bubble Star with. I'm just saying what I need to say for the sake of this video. Honestly though, it's not that bad to use Bubble Star into Thunder for two reasons. First, there's a Bubble Star chip that is shared with each of the codes that Thunder comes in, so the combo is always there just staring at you, waiting to pull it off. And secondly, if your primary goal is to lock down opponents rather than deal massive damage in one burst, then using Thunder alongside Bubble Star is actually a great choice. Or, you know, maybe just slap a white capsule on a Dull Thunder or Elec Dragon. And of course, we do need to talk about Elec Cross. Under normal circumstances, I would say that Magnet Soul is superior to Elec Cross when it comes to damage, but in the very specific case of Thunder, it's actually Elec Cross that's better. Since Elec Cross gives a flat plus 50 damage to non-dimming Elec chips, it ends up more than doubling the damage of Thunder, bringing it up from 40 to 90. I mean, that's still weaker than Dull Thunder and Elec Dragon, but still, it's something. One last point of discussion is actually the return of Dark Thunder in a sense. BN6 introduced a new Gigachip Enforcer version, Bugged at the Thunder, or BDT. This chip basically changes your charge attack to Dark Thunder from BN5, the homing Dark Thunderball that deals 200 damage and paralyzes enemies. And remember when I said that someone should try that in PvP? Yeah, using BDT and taking as much area away from your opponent to make it difficult to dodge is actually a viable strategy in BN6 PvP. It's fun to watch, just not fun to play against. And that's all that I have to say about the Thunder chip. From an interesting introduction in the very first Valorant game, to a 2-game vacation and grand return for the remainder of the series, Thunder has been through a lot. And if I'm being honest, I actually do enjoy using this chip, at least in Valorant 4 through 6. I don't remember ever really using this chip in BN1, honestly. That game is all about the fighter, knight, and hero swords anyways. But for the last half of the series, it's a pretty good chip. While its damage is low, and I talked quite a bit about increasing its damage in this video, it's really used for its ability to paralyze opponents instead. And as such, I really do enjoy using this chip when I can. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel for some more Mega Man Battle Network content. In addition to these network evolution videos, I also have my folder decoder series where I show off chip folders that I've used throughout the Battle Network games. I also make videos about other various topics relating to Battle Network games, so if you enjoyed this series as much as I do, there's a lot on this channel for you to enjoy. And as always, thanks for watching.